So, how does one go about building a video game? Well, at the very least you need a bunch of talented people, an idea, and a hell of a lot of hard work, but sometimes even that's not enough. Today on the next big game, Titanfall, we talk to the folks at Respawn Entertainment and ask how exactly this fledgling studio went on to make one of the most anticipated games of 2014. Titanfall is the first release from Respawn Entertainment, but for the men and women creating the game, this is far from their first rodeo. The studio was founded by Vince Zampella and Jason West, two of the founders of Infinity Ward, so the guys who brought you Call of Duty. Many of their former colleagues joined them, as well as a bunch of other talented developers from around the United States and beyond. It's a modest team for the scale of the game, but when we went to meet them in LA last week, they seemed to carry a sense of camaraderie and pride. It's been almost 4 years since Respawn was founded, and to some it feels like a lifetime away.
Titanfall didn't really take shape until more recently. What we found in the beginning of Respawn was, we'd all come out of this other thing that we'd been doing for years. We assembled at Respawn. It was literally a day one walk-in, and we were card tables, card chairs, fax machine, printing. We didn't even have computers for, it seemed like 2 months. When we finally got internet, it was like this big deal. We went in the room and videotaped it.
A blank slate can be a burden. Do you try and reinvent the military first-person shooter or go in a totally different direction? What Respawn seem to have attempted with Titanfall is to make a game which feels mechanically unique, but has enough familiar hooks that it invites people in. A difficult note to strike.
It's about more taking what's there and what's comfortable, what people are familiar with in first-person shooters, but doing something a little bit, we wanted to break the boundaries. We're not making it completely different. It's familiar, it feels like, if you've played a shooter game before, you can sit down, you can grasp the controls, you know what you're doing. But then what can we do now to take it to another level?
We really wanted to try something really different. And I know when you look at the game, if you were to look at Titanfall at face value and take a screenshot, you can't appreciate what's really going on there. So we chased the gameplay. We went into heavy experimentation on gameplay and mechanics and looking at stuff like old school Quake and Doom.
I would say that Doom or Doom 2, they were influences. The whole idea that every weapon has a very unique premise and a very unique design space, as opposed to having a design space where you're restricted to bullet weapons that have variations in fire rate or recoil and things like that.
All the stuff that we all grew up with, it had that like insane Unreal Tournament stuff, like really crazy gameplay, kinetic craziness, and going and chasing that down and then trying to find a way to make it, I would say, like approachable to the gamer today. So that kind of brought in the using Titans and stuff.
I would say the cat and mouse was a common thread, and we explored a lot of different versions of what cat and mouse even means. Not even worrying about Titans or pilots at the time, which we didn't have at the time. We were having those discussions. Was just how do we create this feeling of cat and mouse? What is cat and mouse? It's different things to different people. We want to make sure that players have different strategies that they can employ. That was pretty much it, and then the rest of it was just trying to figure out how to make a fun game. And there wasn't like a very specific agenda on it. It was an evolutionary work towards it, see things come together, see what works, see what doesn't kind of approach.
From talking to the team, it's clear that the prime focus was always going to be gameplay. Titanfall isn't the type of game that tries to win over an audience with glorious graphics or a sexy sales hook. It's a game that wins you over once you've played it. But the formula Respawn eventually arrived at came through months of tweaking and balancing. The Titanfall we see today was not made overnight.
All the gameplay came first, and then we just wrapped a universe around that. So campaign multiplayer goes into that as well. But the universe of Titanfall is basically, humans have found the ability to fold space. They've found a Goldilocks system with inhabitable planets out in this frontier, and people have gone out to settle it. It's not an easy trip. It's like an Oregon Trail kind of a vibe, and you lose people along the way. A lot of the surface treatments and buildings and the environments are kind of based on this idea where it's like a Hadley's Hope thing from Alien, where they kind of built these domiciles out of containers that came off the spaceships and stuff. But really it's about, there's different parts of the environments that just feel settled. And the IMC is obviously this massive corporation going and doing dirty things behind the scenes and trying to keep it covered up and affecting the people that live there, which brings on the militia to fight back.
I would say the game really probably started to come together about a year and a half ago. We had a lot of cool pieces. We had spent time building, different mechanics and playing around with things.
Well, let's see. Well, one of the things that used to happen was that players would start with Titans. They just didn't start in any other way. And then the idea was that you would lose your Titan and then now you'd be on foot and you'd be fighting like caveman versus dinosaur style from that point onward. And it took a long while just because we were concerned about the design space of Titans and how they would play. But eventually the focus shifted towards pilots for a while. Pilots used to run something like 2 or 3 times faster than they do now. One of the designers brought up an idea of, hey, what if we earn that Titan? What if you start on foot and after a period of time you get the Titan? And so we played with that for a bit, and then so that seemed to work better because now it's more of an event. When someone is first to fall, the Titan comes in and you hear that sound, you're like, oh, someone got it. With this game, we wanted to make sure we had fights, like actual, I shoot at you, you shoot at me. We don't just, whoever sees the other guy first isn't going to necessarily just end it.
In recent weeks, gamers have responded with some criticism to the announcement that Titanfall matches would be capped off at 6 versus 6 player counts. In games like Call of Duty and Battlefield, for instance, higher player counts usually equate to more exciting matches. So why are Respawn capping the game at 6v6, and when was this decision made?
The game was never meant to be 6-on-6 until probably 6 months ago. Dialing back that player count a little bit made the game, it allowed it to breathe. It allows players to breathe. And when you have a game that's unpredictable and very fast, like what Titanfall is, I think players, after they spend some time with the game, will really appreciate the fact that it's 6-on-6. Might even wish that it was 5-on-5 or 4-on-4, because you can't predict the way the enemy's going to come, and you can do that in most first-person shooters. You understand the maze, you know where they're going to show their heads, you know the 2 ways they can come in, but you're never safe in time. You really are not ever safe.
It was a little too crazy. We had higher player counts that we played with. And because, we started to learn the importance of situational awareness and being able to have that right level of insanity while being able to process what's going on. And therefore, if you can't process what's going on, you're not going to have much fun, ultimately. So we pared it down to a point, and we got to a point where we felt this is enough craziness to feel exciting and dynamic and vibrant. At the same time, it's not so much that I can't quite grasp what's going on, or if I'm getting hit from too many sides at once.
Another unique element of Titanfall's development is how Respawn have discarded the traditional split between single-player campaign and multiplayer. In Titanfall, the campaign is played through multiplayer alongside others. Levels are joined together by story trappings which appear in various places, such as the start of a mission. We asked Vince Zampella if this was a decision to try and do something new, or a reality of working with a smaller team.
I would say it's something that when we started making the game, you look at the amount of resources that you have and your goals. And our goal was definitely multiplayer. We want to take multiplayer to the next level. So how do we do that? Okay, you look at the amount of resources that you put into a single player game that people breeze through in 5-6 hours or not at all. And then the multiplayer kind of gets what's left over. We didn't want that. So we said we're going to take that. And part of the goal is if you're going to make multiplayer better, what do? You want to make the world more believable, more engaging. So you take those great single player elements that, pull them over, put them into multiplayer. So now this world's more alive. There's things going on around you. There's, there's grunts running around. There's, it's a more believable world. And all that content gets seen by so many more people, and it gets played for hundreds of hours. And, so for us, it was just kind of a natural fit based on our desires and the amount of work that we had to do.
As we approach launch, there seems to be a skip in the step of the people that make up Respawn. After 4 years of working together, they're just about ready to release their creation onto the world, and it seems they're looking forward to it.
Working on Titanfall and thinking about it launching in just a very short time away, it's like giving birth in public. It's not that I will ever give birth in my life, but it's this crazy thing. We don't want to let anybody down, so we've been incredibly hard on ourselves. I just hope that it's a game that everybody likes and wants to play and tries it out.
I mean, I think we're all super excited for people to play this thing. I know when we were doing the alpha, everybody on the team was spending like their entire weekends playing with everybody else and just watching them and exchanging stories. And we had to be quiet. We didn't want people to know we were devs. But we would listen to the feedback that people were going, and they would just be talking about what happened. Holy shit, I can't believe it. I ejected. I landed on a Titan. He ejected, shot us both up. We went into an aerial fight, and it's just like, you were listening, you're like, yeah, you're playing Titanfall.
I would say that it's a really, really, really fun game with a lot of depth and a lot of variety as well, depth and breadth. It's probably the most cinematic wild multiplayer experience we have, and I guess what I'm really excited about is the fact that people are going to make some crazy videos.
You know, it's been a long kind of road to be where we are, to rally the team together, get through all the adversity that we faced, and get to a point where we're releasing something that, you know, we're proud of and is being so, it's being accepted by the fans and by everyone, you know, just so well. It means a lot. It feels good.
That was the folks at Respawn Entertainment giving us an insight into the creative process behind Titanfall, but we're not quite done with them yet. Make sure you check back on Gamespot.com all this week for continuing coverage of the game, including a look into the relationship between pilots and Titans and a one-on-one with the founder of Respawn, Mr. Vince Zampella. See you then.